living glam, living rock, living with Jonathan and Katy.
Welcome to Living.
Katy. Welcome to Living with Jonathan and Katy.
Welcome to Living with Jonathan and Katy. Is that I cannot stop doing a fucking Australian accent, and it's ruining my relationship, I think.
Well, it's because I did the Australian act. Well, wait, in your day-to-day? Because we were doing...
Yes.
Oh, God.
Well, no, really what's happened, we watched What We Do in the Shadows because Chris had never seen it.
You watched... Wait, you watched the original
No, the original movie, yeah, because Chris had never seen the original film before diving into that. And so then I just couldn't stop doing the accent, and he truly hates it. And then I was like, I'm going to do it in bed and be like, oh no, that's the spot.
Oh, yeah. Get me deep into Barbie.
Horrible. Oh, my God.
No, but you should honestly watch the show because there is a Mexican-American gay gordito on the show. He's amazing. His name is Harvey Guillen. He's my new crush. He's my new, celebrity crush. And he plays Guillermo on the show. It's really good.
Yeah, I am very excited. Well, per your recommendation last time, I started watching I May Destroy You, which is 10 out of 10. We can do a recap episode or later. But, yeah. But more importantly, ask me how my day was.
How was your day, Katy?
I became a cat mom.
Now...
I'm a mother.
We have to give some backstory for the viewers / listeners. Because you have brought now 2 cat skeletons onto the podcast. So we need to make sure that the cat that you're talking about is indeed alive, or is it a skeleton? I
would love to. Okay, let me just back up. I'll tell you the story. Number one, I find out about this cat through a white woman named Karen. You're goddamn right, I did.
Wow.
That's the only way to rescue a cat in this day and age, just through a reliable Karen.
I thought it was to rob a Karen.
No.
Take a white lady's cat.
No, it's cute. It's an orange tabby, 3 months old. Don't know how he identifies yet. They identify. He hates. Well, not he. He doesn't hate me, but he's not into it yet. You know, I thought we were going to be making a little "Hey Kitty Girl" music video together, and so far, as I told you, he has been in his carrier for the first 2 hours, just like. No, he's actually scared and traumatized, but it's fine. We'll get him out there. He literally, I've been waiting 2 hours. He just got out of his carrier. And I am such a, I want to be such a stage mother. Like, I want to grab him. I want to Vogue him. I want to be love me. You know, the whole point is to have a cat that loves you. And
you
normally
break this cat's limbs in 2 seconds if you just let yourself.
So yes, 100%. And I would just be so aggressive. I would be not listening to any of his consent or not reading his body language. But I'm trying, but you know what, that was Katy in her 20s. I'm trying to push, her personality onto cats. Now I'm trying to be older and wiser. And I really am trying, I'm literally I told my boyfriend, I was don't even look at the cat. Act like literally ice him. Don't even act like he's here because he needs to feel comfortable and do it in his own time. But we'll see. And he's young.
Let's just go back to what you just said, which is, that was me in my 20s when I used to try to push my personality onto cats. So that's very specific. And that's very telling. It is very so telling. Okay. So you are now not pushing your personality onto cats, and you're just trying to live and be free and let this cat come out when it wants to come out.
Literally, I'm trying to practice being a good mother, and just let the cat find itself, be itself, live its truth without me trying to push it into show business. But I don't know how long that's going to last. As we know, I was a model for Cat Fancy.
One of my favorite credits of yours.
Yes. I want it to love me. Not that I just want it to be cute. I want it to do things. It's also,
I just want it to love me.
It is full on my familiar. It has my eyes and my nose and my hair. It's a male. But other than that, it's me in drag.
Are you sure you didn't just turn your brother into a cat?
Honestly, same attitude.
Well, you know what I'm drinking? And this is basically equivalent to a cat.
Okay.
I'm drinking something called Pera Piña.
Little Pineapple?
No, pera piña, pear pineapple.
Oh, pear
So
pineapple.
basically, there's no pear in it, but it tastes like pear. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, this is Dominican horchata.
Does it have cinnamon in it?
No, but it is made from like rice.
Ooh.
You know how like horchata is made from like rice milk,
Yeah.
you know? And there is spices, but it's basically like the pineapple skins and the pineapple leaves and the core, I think. And you like boil it all together until it becomes this like weird witch concoction, you know.
Ooh.
Nike did it in the kitchen, and I just like, you know, peeked in. But it does have this like thick consistency, and of course it's supposed to be served cold, so I'm serving it chill, but it is very thick, and it is this drink that is made from rice, so I guess that's where its thickness has come from, but it's not like viscous, it's just a little bit thick, like, you know how horchata is like thick, you know.
Yeah.
But it tastes like a very pungent fermented pineapple blended with pear, but there is no pear in the drink. But because of the way that the pineapple skins and the rice and everything like mix, it basically tastes like you're drinking like blended pear juice.
Then it is magic. It is a
Yeah.
full-on spell. It's a glamour. It's a
it's
flavor
gorgeous.
glamour.
Mhm.
I have been totally into, I hate to say the word mocktails, let's just say concoctions as well.
Okay.
I have been making cucumber, lime, mint lemonades. I made a blackberry mint lemonade. And my favorite, shout out to Sarah Bacon, episode 3, 4, whatever. She was first 5 episodes. She was always posting about making like watermelon, lime, and mint fresh with ice, like fresh smoothie, like basically ices, but like actually healthy style.
Right.
And I have just been sitting on my porch remembering Georgia and and sipping away.
Wait, that sounds good. So it's a
so
watermelon,
good.
what icy?
It's just watermelon, squeeze of lime, and mint, and just blend it all together with some ice. It's
That sounds
so
cute.
refreshing, and it's so much water. It's very hydrating. It's beautiful. So that is totally my my mocktail recommendation. I feel like I tried to make something that was a big fail. My theme of quarantine cooking wise has been failures.
Oh, really? I had a success yesterday. You know what I cooked for the first time? This is the first time I cooked a proper risotto, like a real risotto with risotto rice.
I have never. I always make it too mushy.
So my first time out of the gate cooking risotto, it was absolutely 100% perfect. It was so delicious. And do you want to know why it was perfect?
Why?
Because when I was cooking it, Nike comes over and he's like, you don't need to like constantly be stirring the rice, right? And I was like, excuse me, the directions say to constantly be stirring this rice because you're trying to always have it in movement so that the starch is released and you get that creaminess, right? So I, for 20 straight minutes, was just pouring in animal stock into this rice. And it was animal stock that we made from a whole chicken. So we made this stock. And I was ladling it into the rice. And I was just like moving it around. And then, of course, I was like making shrimp and like roasted bell peppers that were like really soft and like, you know, delicious. And the risotto came out so good. It was like not too al dente and not too mushy. It was like just the perfect amount. And I had like shrimp all over it and like beautiful multicolored bell pepper julienne. You know, it was so gorgeous. And I just felt like
That sounds like a gorgeous, diverse risotto. I
it's
love.
just like a seafood risotto.
Yeah, I wish I to be honest, I made risotto the last time I made it many years ago, and I'm ashamed to say this. I didn't have white wine at the time. It was like a white wine asparagus risotto. And then I was like Googling, like, what can you just use in place of white wine? And this one was like vinegar. So I just yeah, exactly. It was disgusting. And it was one of the things though where I'd like spend a lot of money on the ingredients. And so I forced myself to eat like basically pickled risotto, not pickled, like horrible vinegar risotto for 5 days straight.
Here's what I have to say about you. And I think this is from many times of me like cooking at your places.
Yes.
Both at your new apartment and at your old apartment.
Yes.
And this actually is something that happened that I never talked to you about because I think it would have been rude to say in the moment. But remember when you asked me to cook for you, it was one birthday. It wasn't like one of your last birthdays or something where I went over to like this apartment that you're in right now. And I like cooked a bunch of chicken for you in that recipe that you taught me with like the Dijon and, you know, the white wine and all that stuff, that like chicken hack recipe that I love. I still use it all to this day. So I was going over to cook for you and make you mashed potatoes and everything. But you bought chicken breasts that were already deboned. And see, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? As someone who cooks, it's like, why would you do that? You know, like, why would you get me chicken that was deboned? Like, bones have, the hueso has the flavor, you know what I'm saying? And so, of course, it came out as good as it could come out, and you liked it, and so I didn't say anything. And so I was doing my best to cook this, like, what I like to call dead chicken.
I was
So
like Caucasian chicken.
Well, yeah, it's like you just get I like, my favorite cut of the chicken is the chicken thigh. Now, the chicken thigh is like the most decadent, like beautiful, like luscious, fatty part of the chicken. But you got the like breast, and not just the breast, the like boneless breast. So it was a healthy meal because it was a very lean meat, right? But they didn't have that flavor and that fat that you get from like a chicken that actually has a bone in it, you know, especially like a really good cut. So I think your problem is, and I'm gonna tell you what your problem is.
Girl speak.
That you buy the really good quality ingredients, but you will miss an essential ingredient in the dish, like what you just said right now, which is, I forgot to buy white wine and then you replaced it with vinegar, or I forgot to buy chicken with a bone, so here's like little skin flaps. Like, those are like crucial.
Honestly, I would disagree with something you just said, which is that I buy quality ingredients. That is not, I always buy, like, even with the chicken thing, I'm like, oh, it's probably the cheapest thing. I always buy whatever's cheapest, which is why I'm like, vinegar is wine.
Worse. That's where
I'm getting better. I am getting better. And there's more food in my fridge because I know that always horrified you.
Yeah. Oh my God, guys, Katy, going over to Katy's apartment, she would literally have like a dirty water filter in there. She would have like one sparkling like bottle of water. She would have like a bag of, I don't know, like cherries, and then like a dozen eggs, and like always one loose bag of shredded cheddar cheese or Mexican cheese or something. Like,
literally, I am shook right now by how much you know me, because everything you described is like not hyper, like that is exactly what is in my fridge.
Yes.
That is I am like astounded. Yeah.
Now, the only time I've seen your fridge like actually stocked really though is when you've been moving. I don't know if it was because of the pandemic. Maybe it was because right at the beginning of the pandemic we were still like doing podcasts together in we're talking about like the first week or two when no one knew what was really going on. I remember your fridge being stocked and I was like, thank God. Like, a stocked fridge just makes me relaxed.
Well, by stocked, it was like a normal person's fridge. Yes, yeah. And to me, I was like, wow, I guess I'm a fucking doomsday prepper now. Like, well, but I've changed the behavior, because the reason that was because I used to like, I'm very cheap. I was also like trying to save money and like just buying exactly what I needed, which would be, you know, a bowl of cherries to eat for a week and a bag of cheese to sprinkle into my mouth. But now I'm much better, and I actually am like, no, you buy stocked thing. I even have doubles of some stuff. I guess it's the pandemic. I guess it's just changed me.
Yes, I'm so glad, because it was tragic. And so, guys, it was the point where when I would go over your place, I remember I would constantly actually bring more food with me than you had in your fucking fridge. Because remember, I would cook for you a lot, not just like on your birthday. I would just like cook stuff. You know what I'm saying?
You would make delicious, amazing meals, and I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you. Except I remember one meal I really fucked up. And do you remember what meal it was?
Which one was it?
It was when I made, I pulled a Katy. Okay, so I was making my mom's chile rellenos, and I forgot tomato sauce, which you need to make Mexican rice. And so I served it over a bed of white rice, which is like not authentic and not as flavorful, because white rice is just never going to be as flavorful as like a flavored rice, you know?
Yeah.
And Mexicans do eat white rice. There is a Mexican white rice, but it's like, at least I only ate that like around like spring and Easter. It's like a special thing, and it's not as good. So I remember making you this chile relleno, and I remember Chris trying it, and he was being so nice because the chile was fine, I guess, but the rice is part of the decadence. And he was like, it was good, you know? And then I was like, oh, I just wish, you know, the rice, I hadn't forgot the tomato sauce. And he was like, yeah, you know? So I felt bad about that.
I feel like on so many occasions, also it's like just when you're learning to cook and you're growing up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, especially again, like early 20s to later, like all the times, yeah, like missing the main essential ingredient or trying to make something because it's all you have in your fridge, you know? The other day I was shook though. This is crazy. Okay, this is crazy. I had come back from the forests of Northern California and I had a bounty. And I had like all these yellow squash.
Yeah.
And I Googled, and like somehow miraculously, like, you know, when you want something and you Google for it and then you actually have every ingredient for it, which like for me never happens for obvious reasons. I had everything in my house to make a yellow squash casserole. I mean,
Casserole though? Like, when do you need a casserole?
because it was so delicious. Was it white trash? Yes, because you had to crumble crackers as breadcrumbs, but I didn't care. You know what I love? Anytime you Google for a recipe, and of course the usual will come up. It's like Martha Stewart, Bon Appetit, which by the way, fuck Bon Appetit recipes, because literally it'll be like the best grilled cheese ever, and then you look it up and it's like imported saffron from blah blah. It's like a 500 list thing that's like $1 million. Anyways, I always go to like the search result that's like page 8 or 9, because it's always like Marianne Joe's kitchen, or it's like Deborah Jean's pies, and those women are like Midwest moms who shop at Costco, and they will give me like the 4 ingredient version. So shout out to all the Christian stay-at-home mommy bloggers or whatever.
I mean, honestly, I do have to say though, it is best to have like food where it is just a limited amount of ingredients. I don't love, unless it's something super decadent and rich, a food with too much going on sometimes is like not that great. The only time I think it's amazing is if you're making a sauce, like a tomato sauce or a bolognese or a mole. Those sauces need a lot in them, but they like develop over time. But usually I think it's best to just, yeah, like you said, like you make good stews and stuff like that. Like Katy also always has like frozen stew inside her freezer.
Stew and soup, I am known for that everywhere. Like even at work, whatever, they'd always be like, eating your soups again. And I'm like, and I'd always say the one thing, it's a 1 bowl meal, honey.
Yeah, you love like efficiency and like
Yes.
you love that.
I don't have time for the rest.
Speaking of Bon Appetit though, what are your thoughts on like all the controversy going on over there?
I mean, it is it's like the last I knew was like some people were ousted, racist stuff.
Well,
Somebody appropriated something. Was it?
Well, the head of the Bon Appetit guy who was on like a lot of their YouTube videos, the head guy, he seemed like really nice on the videos and stuff, but then it came out that he did brownface years back. So then he just immediately resigned. He was like, I'm sorry, I'm out. But the major problem was, because of course, yes, brownface is bad, but what's even more of a problem was that all the like chefs of color were not being paid either at all, or they were being paid so much lower than all the white chefs. And I mean, all of them. So they all were like transparent about what they were being paid. And a lot of them were literally being paid like menial amounts of money for these videos. And a lot of them work at Bon Appetit. But of course, all the like white chefs and editors and stuff like that, they were doing the videos in the test kitchen and getting paid way more money. And the ones of color weren't, or no money at all. Even one of their most popular guys, I think his name is Andy Baranji. He's Iranian American, and he's gay. And he was like one of the most popular guys on there. He's like the eye candy, you know, and he always makes like you know, Iranian food, which that matters to what I'm about to say. So he was a senior like editor there, or a senior food editor or something. So he was like actually higher up on the totem pole versus some of the other like POC people who were there. But he just revealed in January of 2020, that is when he first started getting paid to do videos for Bon Appetit. And he had been a senior editor there for 3 years. And he had been doing he had been doing the food test kitchen videos there for years. So it took 3 years for him to even start making money at the videos, and only when people started to make noise about it, and because they promoted him to like a higher position. So they were in this like kind of thing of like, the controversy's coming out, people are making noise, but we want him to stay and we're promoting him, we have to like start paying him. So he only started getting paid this year. And I knew that, and I knew it in my bones, because Nike was saying, oh, they probably paid Andy, even though he's POC and queer, because like he's like lighter skin, and also like he's higher up on the totem pole. And I was like, no, they didn't pay him. I know in my gut that they still don't think of him as like, you know, the same. And adding on the gay thing and all that stuff. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. He came out being like, yeah, I wasn't being paid. And I was like, I knew it, you know.
Crazy.
So 3 of the like people stopped, they tried to give them a new contract saying you're going to be paid this and this and this. They saw the contract as not a good contract. They were like, we just went from like getting almost nothing or nothing to then just like this shitty contract. So what they were willing to give them was still less than what they were giving all these like white food editor people who were on the videos. And so 3 of them left the like video channel. One of them stayed as a like to work at the magazine, but 2 of them left completely. And what they were all complaining about is like all the POC food specialists who were doing the videos, they all tried to make them do food that matched with their ethnicity, even though the white directors got to do whatever they wanted. So they were like pushing people to do stuff that matched with their ethnicity. And the Iranian American guy who's really popular, he got popular for cooking Iranian food on the Bon Appetit site. But he actually said, yeah, I actually am not trained in Iranian food, and I really pushed away my culture growing up. So I was not familiar with any of these recipes. So I was actually learning as I was going. So he was like, but of course, like, they just had me do these things because I'm of Iranian descent, but I actually don't have a lot of experience cooking this food. And a lot of other people were made to like cook like Somalian food, Mexican food, Indian food and stuff. But I loved one of the women who left. She was Indian American, and you could tell now looking back, like that she was just very like not happy with certain things that were going on there, because she would be like, of course, showing you how to cook Indian cuisine. And then she would be like, she would just take an ingredient and she'd be like, honestly, you could have this ingredient, you could not, like, it's fine, like, do whatever. I'm honestly gonna just use bread for this. And she'll like take out, like, she literally didn't care. And she was like, I just make substitutions. And I was like, that was actually probably really real, because like when you're like an American who's like, you know, have immigrant parents or whatever, a lot of times like the cuisine does get kind of mixed in the home. Like sometimes you don't have all the ingredients from Mexico or all the ingredients from India. So you put most of them in, but then you maybe like put in an ingredient that you got from Bonds because that's all.
I would make butter tortillas with cinnamon and sugar on them as my afternoon snack.
Like a buñuelo.
Yeah,
but
similar.
like you didn't fry it though.
I'm like, I actually invented this. Like,
and then you start selling it from a paletero cart that you like beat a paletero. Well, did you hear that time that white girl from went into like, I think it was like some Latino like neighborhood in San Diego and was like, I'm opening a fruta stand. And everyone was like, girl, what are you doing?
What would you, okay, like if you had your own cooking show, what would you be, like what would it be?
My cooking show, I think it would just be like, I think it would be like Mexican American, Tex-Mex, New Mexican cuisine because I know how to cook kind of all of that.
And would you be like really intense the way that some of them are, or would you just be like,
no, I'd be like
fun, just throw in a you know, whatever, throw in a Tostito.
Yeah, no, I would stick authentic on my show, but I would also just like be more like feely about like what it is you want. You know what I mean? I'd be like, you know, use a serrano chile, or you don't need to. If it's too hot for you, then use a jalapeno if you're, weak or something. I would just do stuff like that.
I feel like number one, it would be, what is the minimal meal you can make with the smallest, like literally I'd be like, you have butter and you have frozen peas and hot sauce.
So what you're describing is just
frozen hot sauce. Is she like fewest ingredients possible though? She
is one of those people who has a cooking show who can't like really cook, but she can like turn on a stove, No, but she's not a real cook, and she became huge in Britain and Europe because she's like sensual and like she's Italian and English, and she has these like beautiful breasts and she just looks like a Renaissance painting. But her ingredients, like we were making fun of her today, like we love her. I love her show, but her ingredients are literally like soft boil an egg and take this asparagus and dip the asparagus into the egg and there's your dinner. Like she literally is like, it's an egg and an asparagus, girl. Like, I don't know what you want. Nike was telling me of a recipe where she was like, I made a salad. I cut up a red onion, poured capers on it, and then put 2 sprigs of parsley. Salad. Like that was like, it's an onion, caper, parsley salad,
I would do a lot of salads. I would be like Soup Town, soups and stews and such. You know what
Katy,
I love?
Katy,
yes.
There was a Christmas episode of Nigella. I'm going to send it to you after this, where she was like, fruitcake. I don't bother making fruitcakes. That's why I think you should buy it from the store. So she takes out this fruitcake that she bought from the store, and she was like, so when you want to get a fruitcake from the store, just dress it up a bit. She got out all these like dried candied fruits that she bought from the store, and she then just she put an egg wash and a sugar wash on top of the already made fruitcake, and she's like, I just glue the dried candy and fruit onto the top of the cake, and then she like glazed that, and it was just like this fucking cake with all this like dried apricots and shit on it, and she was like, voila. And I was like, that's not a recipe. That is not anything. It's more like she's like half cook, half homemaker. You know what I'm saying?
She's like crafting with foods, basically.
Yeah.
I had a phase. I mean, I do like to bake, and I do love cake decorating. And in high school, I don't know, I was really into it. I got like my little bag and my little tips and whatever. And I remember I had this book. I still have it at my mom's, and it's like, literally, I think it's like The Art of the Cake. And it's like these like food porn, incredible decorated cakes and like recipes. And it's a lot of like sugar frosted pansies and stuff. But my favorite one that I did recreate one year for Valentine's Day is a cake that looks like a truffle box with it's like a heart-shaped cake. Yeah. And it has a fake lid open. So it looks like an open truffle box, and then you put truffles inside it. So the whole thing just looks like a chocolate box.
Ooh.
And did I make it? Yes. Did it fall apart? Yes. And did it look like a chocolate box? Absolutely not. It was literally just like,
taste good.
Well, because I don't know, the construction was off because you cut it in half so that there is an actual lid, and then you like wrap that in fondant and put it to the side. Like you like lay it on there, you know, so it looks like a presented open chocolate box. But it was like structurally quite unsound. And it basically, I ended up having to put in so many toothpicks to like hold it that it just looked like the Hellraiser head with like a chocolate ball in it. But I'm still proud that I tried to make it. And I did I'm trying to think of the most layers I've ever put in a cake.
Oh, I would love to make one of those cakes where, you know, they split all the layers and then they put the filling in between, and it's like a 21 layer cake, and it's like the pieces like this big, but it's because all the layers have been cut super, super thin. That looks amazing. And
I've made the rainbow cake before, which every basic bitch has. That was a 7 layer. I also, have you ever had an icebox cake? It's interesting. It's like all vanilla wafers. You could do vanilla or chocolate. You like not crumble them up, but you just like lay out vanilla wafers, and then you just put like fresh made whipped cream, then another thing of vanilla wafers, fresh, and like literally you can do it to like 20 layers, and then it just sits in the fridge for like 2 hours, and then all the vanilla wafers have like softened into kind of like their own cake layers. It's
good. I would eat that. I would add strawberries to it, but that's it.
Yeah. Ooh, a strawberry shortcake is nice. I love anything marzipan. A princess cake that's like traditionally like fluffy raspberry with an almond coating is a dream.
You love that princess cake, but I do have to say, because I worked in a Danish bakery, seeing a princess cake get made is amazing. They are hard to make.
I've never been able to make one. Also because they're domed, which I still don't understand how they like do it. It's like sponge cake, raspberry, fresh cream, and then covered in marzipan. Traditionally a green marzipan.
Exactly. They did it with green marzipan. No, but you literally have to make enough cake to where you can actually cut the cake into a dome.
Oh, into the dome.
Into the dome. And in fact, the cake maker in back, when I worked at the Danish bakery, she's Danish. And I didn't realize she was on like a bunch of those Food Network like baking like shows, like Cupcake Wars and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. That's why you're able to like create a dome, like make this square cake that's like the layers this big into a dome. She was able to like carve things to look like pigs and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is like your thing. Okay.
I love that. Would be my alternate career would just be cake baker, a little pastry maker. I find it so soothing and beautiful. And like, you know, on Instagram or whatever, you see those like photos of like when they ice cakes in like 2 seconds, or they do the like kind of what you were describing, what do they call it? Like a raw edge cake, which is where it has frosting between the layers, but none around it. It's the like rustic cake, you know?
It's a naked cake.
It's a naked cake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like watching them make like all the frosting roses or all the crazy like lattice work, or watching, I just love everything made out of marzipan, especially when I just love when it's not a sweet thing, but it looks like, you know, like I love when they make a bag of Doritos, but it's actually marzipan.
That's your Scandinavian blood calling you.
It is. And you know, there's a tradition at New Year's that you receive a marzipan pig.
I used to make marzipan pigs. I made hundreds and hundreds of them.
Did you give them a little like curly cues or just the faces?
No. It's you have to like get the marzipan and you put them into these like medieval iron molds of a cake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then you hold them there for like a minute, and then you take it out, and then you have to delicately take it out, and then the mold has a seam on it. So the marzipan pig has this like flap of like marzipan skin all the way around. So you have to take like a little knife and you have to like cut the marzipan skin off the pig so that the pig is completely smooth. And then you take a little bit of water on your finger and you basically just like rough out all the edges on the pig so that it looks like a beautiful, like pristine marzipan pig. And people love those things around Christmas. Marzipan pigs are like the thing.
I love it. They sell them at Cost Plus. And I remember I got one once that was so realistic. Maybe it was a similar mold, but I remember being like, I am beguiled by this marzipan pig.
It's crazy. They also had Kansakaga, which was, you would love, it's basically just like chilled marzipan dipped in semi-dark chocolate.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah.
Oh my God. In Lübeck, Germany, where marzipan was invented, there is a marzipan museum. And you can go, and then in the middle of it, they have a whole like a castle made of marzipan.
Oh Lord. It's a castle made of marzipan. No. Did you see that that whole hubbub today about Jerry Seinfeld and New York?
I did not. He said, all I saw was like, he says New York isn't dead or something.
Some dude on LinkedIn, I guess, wrote this like blog opinion article that was like, New York's dead and here's why. And it was like poorly written. And then Jerry Seinfeld somehow is bored and saw it. And
I was like, not today, LinkedIn.
He wrote his own op-ed reply in the New York Times. And I shit you not, he definitely wrote this on the toilet. Like, this was written in his note doc on his iPhone because it was one of the worst poorly written like op-eds I've ever read. And basically he was like just coming in to like defend New York because he was literally being like, New York's not dead, you know? And then all the idiots from around the world and in show business, they literally came out in droves and were like quote tweeting him, and they were like, I love you, Jerry Seinfeld. Guess what? New York isn't dead. Signed Rosie O'Donnell, you know, signed Judy Gold, signed every like New York person who's ever lived.
Signed Judy Garland.
It's like all these people who just loved the op-ed because it had a very patriotic fuck you attitude about like New York, we make it through anything type thing, which is fine. And I agree with Seinfeld that New York is of course not dead, because the original article that he was responding to was bad. It was like hyperbole, like New York is dead, you know? That's dumb. But what he wrote was that New York is not dead, and if you leave New York during this pandemic, it's because you were weak, never understood New York, and you deserve everything that's coming to you. Like, you deserve to like live somewhere else there. And it was this like super tone deaf op-ed from this like billionaire man who has like a mansion in Manhattan. And he was like, New York's not dead. New York. Oh, he literally starts out going like, I moved here in 1976. There was dog shit everywhere. I stepped in dog shit on the way to my first apartment. And when I came out, my car was towed. The best city in the world. He literally, that's how he opens the article.
It's like my joke about how people from New York never stop talking about being from New York.
They will not shut up about it. And if you're a listener from New York, I'm sure you're a good person. Okay? Shut the fuck up about New York.
And you're dating someone who's from New York. I mean, so we get it.
From the Bronx, okay? Like, but literally,
which is the way you always have to say it.
Like
the Bronx.
Yeah, the J-Lo's always in the back of every song, just being like, the Bronx! Like, but what's crazy is, it was just like, and thankfully there was a lot, it was very polarizing because some people were like, we love you, Seinfeld, you know, and then other people were like, which is what I was thinking. And it, thankfully, I of course didn't say anything like I'm saying something public right now, but I'm not from New York, so it's like, whatever, I don't give a shit. But like, it was the fact that it came from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And do you remember when he did that like late night set on David Letterman in like 2013 or 2014? He was like, what's the deal with the iPhone? You swipe left or you swipe right? And we were just like, oh no, Jerry. Who keeps letting this guy do, like, this is not good. He's not good. But New Yorkers were finally, and thankfully New Yorkers of color were responding and being like, you're a fucking billionaire. You don't understand how hard this city can be to live in when you don't have a safety net, when it's like a day-to-day thing. And so there are people who, of course, are like rich kids leaving the city, but there are also people who are very not rich at all, are very working class, who are forced to leave the city and go back to Miami or go back to El Paso or wherever the fuck they're from because they lost their job, they can't afford their apartment. And there are people who are trapped in the city because they're from there, and they've been there for generations. They don't have an outside network as much. So they're trapped in the city and they're having a hard time. And it's just like, he had an opportunity to talk about like the discrepancies in like how a place can be dead, quote unquote, meaning like unlivable for some people, and like an amazing place still for others like him. And people were like, nothing, your New York, it can always be your New York because you can afford to live there. Like you can afford to keep going to your same haunts that you've been going to since the 70s because you don't have to worry about money, you know? And it was just so tone deaf. And I just could not believe at how many people were like retweeting the article. Like journalists were retweeting this article. And I was like, I can't believe it. This is not this is just dumb. This is like, it doesn't matter. It didn't say anything. Like, why not like donate $100 million to the city of New York? Why not talk about like, hey, I love New York, but can we like make this city more livable? Like back when I was living here in the 70s, but he never thought that way back then. Like he never thought like, oh, is this city like safe for everyone? Like I hate him.
Hey, but you're talking about New York here.
It's just like,
well, I will say, I know
New York's not dead. I'm just saying, Jerry Seinfeld is like,
no, I know.
You know when someone says something stupid. So the New York not dead guy, he said something stupid, right? Like that's dumb. New York's not dead, of course. And then you think someone's gonna say something smart, like, oh, that was so dumb. This guy's gonna say something smart, and then they say something so left field and so stupid that you're like, wait, now we're in an argument with like two stupid people.
Well, you know who has a cookbook? Jerry Seinfeld's wife.
Of course she does.
That same thing happened to me when I wrote about Bakersfield being dead. So I get it.
Bakersfield not dead. That's what I responded. I was like, I grew up in Bakersfield, and by grew up, I mean I've been there once.
And I bombed there twice, so who's really the resident now? I think we're at time. The cat's starting to meow. I think he's summoning me.
Or he's getting ready to take a little shit.
Shit. No.
Wait, do you have a litter box set up?
I do, and I need to literally, like, I'm trying to get him, like, introduced to the whole thing, but he literally, I mean, he's barely come out, so I'm like, girl, I gotta show you your food and your shit show. So, yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, I think that's a perfect way to end.
Living glam, living rock, living with Jonathan